Good morning, everybody. I'm actually filming at night and my webcam does not have a great camera for that. So that's why things look the way they do today. But it's okay, never fear, because we're going to take a look at the chart for the upcoming lunar eclipse. Now, as a reminder, we have two eclipses. You can never have just one eclipse. You can only have 2 or 3 eclipses within a 2 week or 4 week window. All the eclipses have to be exactly 2 weeks apart because it has to do with that 4 week moon cycle, 28 days, new moon. On the new moon, when the sun and the moon are right in the same slice of the pie of this chart right here, that makes a solar eclipse. And then 2 weeks later, when the moon is full, the sun and the moon are as far apart as they can get, and that's when you can have a lunar eclipse. So anytime there's a solar eclipse, there's a lunar eclipse either before it or after it. It just depends cycle to cycle if the lunar eclipse comes first or the solar eclipse comes first. Sometimes you'll have a sandwich of lunar, lunar, or solar, lunar, solar, and it just depends on a whole lot of geometry and what it is like to live inside of this giant clock that God made for us. Okay. But so the past couple of days, I've been talking about the seeds that we've got to plant as we build up to this lunar eclipse. This is going to be the first fruition of the seeds that we planted with this new moon energy that just happened. So if you haven't watched those videos, go watch them and then come back to this one, I will recommend. But okay, this is the chart of what's going to be happening on March 25th. It's at 2:12 a.m. So depending on where you are, it may be happening on the 24th, just because like, is it happening at 11 p.m. in your time zone or whatever? But that whole day before, particularly the night before on March 24th, and then the day of March 25th, it's going to have lunar eclipse vibes. If this is your birthday, if your birthday is March 24th or March 25th, you're going to be carrying some lunar eclipse vibes through your entire next year until your next birthday. If your birthday is between March 24th-ish through April the 8th with the solar eclipse, you are going to carry the vibes of of an eclipse portal through your entire year. Basically, any birthdays between March 24th, April 8th or 9th, you are looking at a year of huge opportunities to let old things go and start new cycles. Okay. And you're really going to feel it. I will say, I actually was born on a lunar eclipse. And I feel like that is pretty evident when you look at my life. And I feel like every day of my life is kind of like a lunar eclipse. And honestly, I feel like that's one reason why I do the work that I do and why my work is effective the way that I do it is because when people are working with me, it's like working with a lunar eclipse every day. Like that's the energy that I carry in my life every single day. And so I have to say, as a lunar eclipse human being, it's an intense life where because the sun and the moon are as far apart as they can be during a lunar eclipse, and they're actually having their tie severed by the earth coming in between. Okay. And so what that can feel like for your whole life, if you are a lunar eclipse person, as I am, it can feel like you have this constant battle between your head and your heart. It can be pretty distracting. For me, I was born on the Pisces full moon, the Pisces, an eclipse in with the moon in Pisces. And so my sun is in Virgo. I have this moon in Pisces, and my whole life has been this big struggle between logic. I have a science degree. I'm very religious. And then also I have that Pisces that's very intuitive, very spiritual. That doesn't always make sense from a scientific perspective. And so a lot of my life has just been like the struggle of science and logic versus intuition and going with the flow. And for you, if you have this birthday coming up on this eclipse, it's going to have a different vibe to it because this eclipse is happening on the Aries Libra axis. And so for you, this upcoming year is going to have a lot to do with you're going to have the opportunity to let go of a lot of stuff that isn't serving you on the themes of putting yourself first versus putting other people first. being codependent versus being too independent. You're going to find that happy medium, or you're going to have situations show up that allow you to look for that happy medium between serving others and serving yourself. You know, where, what does it have to look like for you to be able to put yourself first in a healthy way and also navigate the relationships in your life? These are going to be some big themes that are just going to organically crop up for you. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is show up, connect with your creator every day, ask what to do, but you will see for yourself how you are called this year. If this is your birthday window, you're going to be asked to let go of a lot of old patterns that were not serving you, and you're going to have a big opportunity to be reborn through letting things go. Okay. So okay, this lunar eclipse though is going to affect everybody in the whole world. It's going to be extra special for people who have birthdays in that window, but every single person is going to be affected by this. And I've done a lot of eclipse series in the past, so you can go into my playlist and check those out. Like there's a whole bunch of those. But because eclipses always impact everybody. When an eclipse happens, it's kind of like opens up your, what I would call your energy field, but kind of like your spiritual energy. And it's like this huge download opportunity from God. Everybody has it. A lot of us are in self-sabotage mode, and we block that. Or, you know, God is giving us these situations to help us figure out and get clear on who we really are. And for a lot of us, who we really are people that are still dealing with massive amounts of self-sabotage. And so how eclipse portals look for each of us is going to be really different based on what's going on inside of our own hearts. But eclipse portals affect all of us. So what are we looking at with this eclipse portal? Again, one of the key things is this whole thing is about what do we sweep under the rug and where do we stand up for ourselves? That's really one of the big questions. And the answer for this exact eclipse cycle is we need to stand up for ourselves. Like if it's a battle, what needs to win is you. It's me. You know, it's our own needs. Libra can really get swept up in seeing both sides of the coin. It can get really swept up in needing things to be fair and balanced. And Aries is much less concerned about that. Aries needs to take care of itself. And this North Node right here next to the sun is telling you it's time to take care of you. On a personal level, I think we're going to see that in all kinds of situations. You know, you may find that you're having some really interesting discussions with your spouse, with your parents, with people like primary one-on-one relationship people in your life, friends, children, siblings, all of that kind of thing. Like anybody that you have a one-on-one relationship with, that one-on-one relationship may have situations just show up organically that have you really reevaluating how you show up in that relationship. If there are things that you have been ignoring and putting up with, enduring to the end with, when it was like killing you inside, you may find that things are showing up to kind of force that out of your system. And it's like, it's just gonna show up, and you're gonna have to make some real choices. Do I want to keep sweeping under the rug? Do I want to speak up? Do I want to exercise my boundaries? Do I want to say how I really feel? Do I want to give up on the lying and manipulation that takes place when I say, no, this is fine, when it's actually not fine? You know, this is a time where we're called to radical honesty about ourselves and about what is okay with us and what is not okay with us. And let's take another look at it, because I want to see where Mercury is on this chart. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, Mercury is over here at 23 degrees in Aries. So to have all this going on in Aries, Aries, it's a fire sign. It leaps before it looks and jumps in first, often without thinking too hard. And having Mercury there is going to tell me that we may get a little fiery in our communication about these different things. So we're going to have to be careful with that. Another thing I wanted to look at was the black moon. This is it right here. It's a mathematical calculation. It's not like a actual thing that you could see in the sky. But the black moon deals with boundaries as well. And here at 20 degrees of Virgo, to me, that's going to tell me that pretty much everybody is going to be primed to be a little judgy, Virgo is definitely the judgiest sign of the zodiac. I can say that as a Virgo. But Virgo doesn't mean to be judgy. Virgo just wants to be right. Virgo just deeply cares about things being in order and things being logically correct and truly correct. Um, and so when Virgo energy comes into play, it's going to look and see what's wrong. So Virgo is just kind of famous for being judgy and for um it feels like it has all the answers and feels like it's right. Um even when it's not right. And so what we may see is that, especially starting now, as we build up to this lunar eclipse and then add that lunar eclipse through the solar eclipse that is the big deal, we may find that we are extra attuned to the faults of others. Are they their real faults? Who even knows? But we are going to perceive what we tell ourselves are faults in others. And we may not be judicious in how we bring it up, because that Mercury in Aries is not a judicious speaker, by which I mean it's not going to think carefully about how the words are going to be received. It's just going to barf them out and just say what it thinks. And so that's just something to be very aware of as we head into this. If you start noticing a lot of flaws in other people and you feel that urge to speak up about it, I'm just going to remind you that we don't know the flaws of other people. I mean, like, we can make up stories about other people and the flaws that we see in them, but we only see a tiny slice of the pie of somebody's life. Like, we don't know what's really going on with them. We don't know their history. We don't know why they do the things that they do. As a recovering super judgy Virgo, I can just point to so many times in my life before I kind of like came around, and like, not that I'm perfect, but I'm way less judgy now because I really feel like I get it, that I don't know the whole story and I'm okay with that. So I don't need to judge you anymore. But when I, was a much more prideful little Virgo, I really felt like, I know what's right and what's wrong, and you're doing it wrong. And I really didn't have a lot of compassion for the fact that we're all on a different journey and we all have different life experiences and different perspectives. And I might look at you and say, I think you're doing that wrong. And you might look at it and say, this is the only way I can do it. This is all I got. Like, this is my whole life has led me to this point, and this is what I got. Right. Um, anyway, the point is that we're all going to be a little bit in that little judgy mode in the weeks coming up to this eclipse and then during that eclipse portal. And this is my little reminder that if you start feeling judgy and you start feeling like that person is doing things wrong and I've got to correct them, you may not need to correct them. Okay, that's my little warning to you. It may not be necessary. Definitely check with our creator before you start issuing corrections to the people around you, because what I'm looking at this chart is like, oh man, we're all going to say, I know what's best and you should do it this way. And that is a big recipe for disaster in interpersonal relationships. We get to opt out. Here's the deal. The stars don't control you. They don't control anything. What I think they kind of a little bit control is gravity, tidal movement. What I think is actually happening is all these different stars and planets, just like the moon, but on a lesser level, they're impacting the flow of the actual fluids on the planet, all the fluids, including the fluids inside of our bodies, even including the fluids inside of our pets' bodies and our parasites' bodies, and inside of the bodies of trees and grass and plants. I think that is actually how it works, which I have a lot to say about that, but not right this second. But, the gravity of the planets in the context of this eclipse, it's lining up that we're all going to feel a little bit of that urge to be judgy and to speak up about it and correct other people and tell them that they're wrong and they should be more like us. And a lot of people are just going to jump in on that and just do it because it's like the default right now. The stars don't control anything. Like, they don't control our choices, but they can create kind of a weather that we deal with. Just like if it's raining outside, then you're going to probably have a really different day than if it's hot and sunny outside. Like, particularly if you have to actually go outside, right? It's going to you're going to be impacted differently. And the weather doesn't control what you do, but it might influence how you're thinking about what you are going to do. It might influence the choices that you make. It's not going to make you get an umbrella if it's raining outside, but you might choose that because it is raining outside. I kind of feel like that's how the stars work. They're not going to make us all be whiny, horrible witches to each other. But we might be primed to do that because of how the fluids in our bodies are flowing about and so on and so forth. Zeta potential. Okay, everybody go read Pierre Corey's work. He's a medical doctor who talks about zeta potential, which is how all of the fluids move in your body and how it relates to your health. It's so good. He writes an amazing Substack. Okay, back to the point. The point is that we get to choose how this shows up for us. The weather is in, when it comes to the star chart of this lunar eclipse, the chances are that we might get judgy and mean, but you don't have to be. You don't have to be, okay? You get to opt out. You get to be more conscious than that and just be very thoughtful, because now you know. And you can say, I don't think I want that to play out like that for me. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So, so as we head into this lunar eclipse zone, I just want you to be really aware of what you're judging. Who do you feel like you're better than? Who do you want to correct? Who do you want to be mean to? Who do you want to just put in their place? These are really things worth paying attention to, because the stars are aligning for us to pay attention to that. We are supposed to be very aware of the changes that we feel like need to be made in our lives and in our relationships in particular. The trick is, how are we going to verbally engage in the conversations that need to take place in a way that is in alignment with our creator? We get to choose that. And just because the stars align in a certain way doesn't mean that we have to do anything. You can always say, you know what? I don't want to have this conversation, or I do want to have this conversation and I want to have it in this way. I want to have it in a calm way. I want to have it in a loving way. Remember, if the truth is not spoken in love, it is not truth. Okay, it is an attack. We speak the truth with love. If you are not feeling loving in your speech when you're issuing a correction, that's not the truth. Okay, it is probably an attack. So we just get to be a little bit more conscious. One thing that's coming into my mind to recommend is going to be my book, Magnetic Femininity, which is on Amazon. Let me see if I can pull it up really fast. But it is a totally life-changing book, and I seriously recommend it for at least all the women. This is it. Look at that. Yes, what a great cover. Wow, good job, Allie. So this book is going to be very, very helpful to you in navigating difficult discussions, particularly if you are a woman dealing with men in your life. I have a lot of stuff in here on communication from a feminine standpoint that can just be like really helpful to you. So I really hope that you take a look at this book if you haven't. And I'm also going to recommend, oops, I don't want to do that. Here we go, allieduzatclasses.com. If you're not in here, go get in here, start in the foundational sessions. The fancy membership will give you access to like a whole bunch of sessions all at once for like $30 a month, and you can opt out whenever you want. So that is very good. But okay, there's like so much stuff in here. This debt session is really good. If you have financial debt, it's like $5, so you should just do it. Come on, my brain. We're looking for the session on forgiveness is going to be really good. Okay, session on forgiveness. The session on judging. Oh my gosh, where is it? Judgment. Gets it. Goodbye, judgy pants. Yeah, the judgment session. Okay, this is the one. I'm going to strongly recommend that we work through this session this week. We are called to be judges. We have to judge. We have to look at situations and logically evaluate them and spiritually evaluate them with God as our partner to find out what is true and what is not true. We have to exercise our gift of discernment. We need to ask for the gift of discernment. We need to practice using it and grow it until it's this huge tree of wisdom that we can call on at any time. We're supposed to judge. And we're not supposed to be judgy pants, okay? We're not supposed to be going around and obsessing over the things that we think other people are doing wrong. This session is going to help you find that happy medium. You can put on the audio and listen to it as you go do the rest of your life. You can do it while you do the dishes, while you do the laundry, while you drive around in your car with your kids as a captive audience, and suddenly they have to work on it too, because just listening to it helps you rewire your subconscious mind, but in just a totally safe and gentle way. So I'm definitely going to recommend that session, and I'll put a link below. This is going to help us get into the best kind of place that we can be for this upcoming lunar eclipse. We don't want to cause any more drama than is already going to happen, because during these kinds of things, situations just naturally arise to make things a little exciting. We don't have to create the excitement ourselves. We are allowed to do the inner work so that we can have a smooth and peaceful experience. And I think doing this session is going to help a lot of us get ourselves into that smooth sailing kind of place. So, okay, thanks for being here. Be sure to subscribe for more eclipse related content and also everything interesting. So, okay, yeah, have a good day.